So today, my friend Jay and I are doing a little comparison video. That's him texting me right now. We're going to be comparing old with new. Old Porsche versus new Porsche. The car actually stayed running.
So we're going to start off this 911 versus 912 comparison in Lou's 1966 912 Porsche. I don't know much about it, but thankfully the guy in the driver's seat does. So Lou's going to give you a 60-second history of the 912.
Well, the 912 in North America was from 1966 through 69.
3 solid years.
Well, you know, so there was a 65 available in Europe, and some of them got imported to the North America, so for the most part, they're 66 through 69. Gotcha.
So why does a 912 exist?
Well, the outgoing Porsche in the early 60s was the Porsche 356, and the 911 was being introduced, and whether it was on purpose or not, but there was a large price gap of the outgoing 356 and the incoming 911, double the price, and they needed a car that bridged the gap. So essentially they took a 911, they stripped the 6-cylinder, which would have been a 2-liter 6-cylinder at the time, and they reinstalled the 356 motor, the 4-cylinder, the 1.6.
So basically they took a 911, made it light, for lack of a better word, called it the 912. So power-wise, what does this have?
Oh, can't you feel the power? Horsepower rated at 89 horsepower and like 90 foot-pounds of torque.
So evenly balanced, 89 and 90 pretty much.
Yeah. But you need every single horsepower to get this thing moving. Like once it's moving, it's not bad. Get the damn thing moving takes a certain amount of finesse, is what I'm saying.
So I haven't driven this car yet. I've seen it a bunch of times.
Yes.
So I imagine, like, so I'm a good driver. I'm a fairly proficient standard driver. I've been doing it since I'm 16. I'm 42 now. But will this make me look like I'm 16 all over again?
It has the potential to be a little
unforgiving.
Unforgiving, yes. The pedals are mounted off the floor, which I'm sure you've never driven.
No, all my ones have been floating or anchored.
Yes.
Okay.
The shifter has a certain amount of pre-installed slot, whatever you want to refer to it as the bushings are worn out. So you'll have to find first, second, and third.
How long have you had this car for?
I've had this car for 2 years. However, I have maintained it from the previous owner for at least 10 years, so I'm very familiar with it. I own an auto repair shop, and we specialize in European cars. And
this is a European car.
And
hence here we are comparing.
The previous owners brought it to me for about 10 years, so I waited patiently. I told the owners, whenever you are ready to sell this car, you need to think of me. And it was an elderly, retired couple, and they finally decided that it was time to go. And they came to me, and I was like, oh, okay.
I know a guy.
So we put a deal together, and I'm sure I paid too much for it, and they thought they sold it too cheaply, and we probably...
But that's the case with everything, though, right?
Yeah, exactly. Have you ever driven a really truly vintage car?
I drove early 70s Mustang with drum brakes.
Okay.
And I was terrified that I could not stop that car for the life of me.
All right,
so I'm not going to count that as a real thing because it was automatic.
Yeah.
But if Lou can do it,
you can do it.
That's our slogan.
Reverses, so first and reverse are side by side. So, and there's no lockout. So, let me put it, there we go.
So that's reverse.
That's reverse.
And what does that little red light mean?
That means you're just running the engine down and the alternator light is...
Sorry, dude. Okay, so that's reverse.
Yeah, so just pull it out now normally.
Yep.
And now just Okay, that's second. Oh, that's right there. That's first.
So, as a guy who tests out new cars every week since 2014, this is probably the coolest car because it's pre my generation. You know, I was born in '78. My dad's first car was an '82 Datsun 210. I was too young to really understand what that meant and what basic cars were. But the steering wheel is so thin. There's no markings on the gear. The fact that first and reverse are that close to each other. It's loud and it's so primitive, but this is really what the foundation of driving is all about. The interstate in America was made in the 60s and 50s, and it was partially made for, yes, getting people around, but it's the love of driving that I think really perpetuated that. And yes, again, the functionality of driving, but all the muscle cars of the 60s, and to be sitting in a Porsche that is 54 years old. It's actually older than Lou. Lou's a lot younger than he looks.
Thanks God it's older than me.
But I'm in second gear. I'm doing 35 miles an hour.
Yep.
Miles.
Yep.
So I'm doing the speed limit. But like all the play in I'm not sure if you can see this on camera.
It's analog to the T.
Oh, absolutely.
Like when you look at your 911 and everything is done for you. Think it almost drives itself.
Almost. I like the classic cars when I see them at car shows or
Yeah.
the impromptu car meets at Tim Hortons parking lots.
Yes.
But just being in one and just imagining what it was like for those few years where this came out as Porsche's way of saying, okay, we kind of messed up by making the 911 too expensive. Here's a really, really strong second place option. And
Well, I believe the sales numbers proved that they got it right.
for sure.
And I think they stopped it because they were prepping for the 914, but also it was killing the 911 market.
So I guess in a way it's better to be cannibalized by your own brands as opposed to trying to have to compete with somebody else. Because at least on the inside it's like, oh, we did this wrong, but these things were done super right.
Yeah.
So let's just tweak this, tweak that, and we should be good.
Yeah. I mean, my hope is that the car goes up in value. I mean, I'm not foolishly waiting for it to skyrocket like the rest of the air-cooled 911s. but there's only 4 years of 912s, and the air-cooled market is really up and down. And
Really?
It was so hot a few years ago, and then it cooled right off. And the 912 has sort of been brought along with that.
Would you say it air-cooled right off? I thought you did that on purpose.
I set you up, and you
Just wanted to be sure I was set up the right way.
you were. All right.
So I'm gonna go buy some bigger T-shirts because my arm's way bigger now. Wow. Thanks, Lou.
All right.
Now I'm gonna go on our little time machine and go to a 2020 911 Carrera S.
All right.
Now, so we've gone to the time machine and we're in a 2020 Porsche 911 Carrera S, and I can't even think of words to describe how good it is. Like
I can't wait. Are you gonna let me drive it?
Of course I am. Of course.
Okay.
So 443 on the horsepower, 390 on the torque, 3-liter twin turbo flat 6. Out of the box, this is $119,000 worth every penny. Porsche has put a couple of upgrades in that, and I'll put a list of what that is. But of all the cars I've driven, prior to this, my favorite was a 2015 Ford Fiesta ST because they jammed 200 horsepower into a Fiesta.
Yeah.
But there is nothing like driving a precision Porsche over 2200, 2300. You feel the roar, you hear it, and just the acceleration, and the exhilaration is just remarkable.
I'm excited sitting in the passenger seat.
And that's saying something, right? Like when your passenger is excited just by me doing 60 kilometers an hour in third gear.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Is pretty much something. I've driven this car all week, and let's pull you forward from 66 into the modern world.
Look at the smile on my face. Take your notes. Oh, Jay, you are so short. All right, emergency brake. Off. I gotta have my foot on the brake, don't I?
Sometimes.
All right. Well, reverse is in the same spot as my car.
It is, but there's no thing to lift. It's just the hardest push over to the left as possible. I'm gonna be quiet. Just watch Lou.
I got the smile. I've got like a permagrin.
So let's just bring Lou down a couple of notches and have a slight serious talk before we get to the massive grin again. So
Straight face.
Straight face. What do you like about the car?
Well, I've only driven it for 30 seconds, so
I'm gonna drive it for an hour to give you an honest opinion, Jay.
I think you have to give me the keys for the next. How many more days do you have it for?
24 hours.
Oh man. The better question is, what don't I like about it? At this point, nothing.
It's rare in 2020 to have a performance sports car in manual.
It is, especially a 7-speed.
Porsche doesn't mess around. Now,
it is very polite. Like, the clutch is actually not nearly as heavy as I thought it was going to be.
And it's light, but it's not flimsy.
No,
light. There's still some substance to it, and you still have to put your foot down with a bit of authority.
Yep.
But overall, like Porsche, I don't want to say Porsche has come a long way, because even when Porsche started off, they were renowned for being the precision vehicle and the luxury vehicle. So, no, I thought you were going to go a little more.
Oh, do you want me to go some more?
Yeah. Biker. The reason my head's down as Lou is reversing is I don't know whether to put my head forward.
Sorry. Did I do that on camera? Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't know whether to put my head forward so he could see behind me, or to put my head backwards so he could see in front of me. So I just ducked down and did not leave the vehicle. So Lewis figured out reverse all by himself, like a nice professional.
Well, I drive a Volkswagen as well, so.
All right, Volkswagen, Audi, Porsche.
Yeah, it's kind of all similar thinking.
So in the next 5 to 7 years, I hate to say it, don't shoot the messenger, but manual transmissions are going to become extinct. Not for lack of the technology and the love of driving. It's just, simply put, supply and demand. People want automatic vehicles. People don't have an interest in rolling their own gears. I personally think the Mazda MX-5 Miata will be the last vehicle that has a manual transmission.
I'll go with you on that. I think that's.
Although Volkswagen
Golfs and whatnots, they're still, I have a Volkswagen Sport Wagon, and I actually had to order it. I bought it with, manual transmission and all-wheel drive, and there was only 2 in the country.
Really?
That's how rare they are. The steering wheel is just the right size compared to my 912, which is like this.
I think Lou's smile is going to start to turn upside down, because this is going to wrap up the dual test drive portion of it. Oh, can we insert some sad music in editing? Any final thoughts, words on?
Hello, Porsche Canada. I think that you need to give me this car for a week.
Don't ask, don't get, right?
That's right.
All right, Porsche Canada, I'll send you an email.
I'm pretty sure I'm an accredited journalist on some level, right?
On my level?
Yeah.
You hear me? All right, Porsche Canada, I will call you.
Don't call me.
Go call us, we'll call you.
All right.
Is that how it goes?
Something like that.
Okay.
I don't know.